Do you think if, for 1 minute, that if I was allowed to take him out of that hospital, he'd still be sitting there? I can tell you he wouldn't.
Brigine's brother Bryan was taken to hospital 34 years ago.
It's a journey I will never forget. There was a lot of crying, there was a lot of weeping and wailing. My mother was in the back of the ambulance and I was with her. The ambulance crew were trying to prevent Bryan from hurting himself.
They were told Bryan would be in for 12 weeks. Brigene has been fighting for his release ever since.
He hasn't moved other than to move to a different ward. He's still within the walls of the same place.
You needed help.
Yeah,
you needed support.
He did need help, but he also needed to come home whenever he was ready to come home, which hasn't happened.
Bryan is autistic with learning disabilities, but he thrived with the support of his family.
There's Mummy just dancing around with Bryan in her arms. At that stage, he couldn't even sit up without support. 21 years, he was at home with us, living a happy life in the centre of his family. Unfortunately, when he reached 21, I suppose as he became an adult, his challenging behaviour became more challenging.
Without support in the community, hospital was the only option.
34 years since he went into the hospital and 25 years since the doctors said he was fit for discharge. Bryan is still sitting in the hospital.
It's a quarter of a century.
Quarter of a century.
Bryan's home is Muckamore Abbey Hospital, the centre of the largest abuse investigation in the history of the NHS.
Bryan is non-verbal. He can't communicate through speech. People who can't speak up for themselves, people who can't defend themselves. It's so awful. I just... I can't.
Over 70 staff have been suspended. A public inquiry has opened and Brigene will be giving evidence. She is her brother's voice.
He's been deprived of the love of his family.
Brigene will not stop fighting until Bryan is free.
We never give up. Never, never. As long as we live, we will keep on trying to get Bryan to a place where he can live the rest of his life in peace and happiness. No, never give up.
Resettlement is not always a straightforward journey, as we must find the right place for each individual. Due to the very complex care needs of many of Muckamore's long-term patients, this can be challenging to achieve.